on counterfeits. And a few weeks ago, Congressional Budget Office confirmed that my bill will cost absolutely nothing. So good government legislation that costs the taxpayers $0 ought to not raise any questions when it protects the consumer and protects our business people. That is what I would like to call a slam dunk. And I hope my colleagues will join me in making sure that it gets past this Congress. And now, since this has become an issue in the House of Representatives, I hope
Make believe,
that the House
understand,
wakes
faith,
up
hope.
to this common sense policy
Literally, we've
being
been
included in the China package as negotiations continue.
Literally, we've been programmed by just 5 fucked up words. Just 5 fucked up words keep so many stuck on stupid, willing participants in their own slavery because they're lazy, not thinking for themselves, not using the mind that matters.
The summer sale-a-thon is on. Oh yeah, back in Maston Buick GMC. Every vehicle on the lot has been marked with red-hot savings at the #1 certified pre-owned dealer in Texas. Shop our massive inventory of over 500 certified pre-owned GMCs and Chevys, plus our 6-year, 100,000 limited powertrain warranty, and over 1,000 vehicles, every make and model, foreign, domestic, and luxury. At the #1 sales buying dealer in Texas, Beck & Maston Buick GMC. BeckandMaston.com.
It's been a year since we in the Senate confirmed Merrick Garland to be Attorney General. During his confirmation hearing, I outlined what a successful Department of Justice looks like and what I expected of him as our new Attorney General. I gave him the answers to the test. By this rubric, he has failed. For instance, I urged him to build off the successes from the previous Justice Department to reduce crime, maintain the rule of law, and protect our civil liberties. But violent crime continues to rise, the rule of law is undermined, and our civil liberties are endangered. Instead of condemning all violent crime, Attorney General Garland's Justice Department targets lawful gun owners and blames those gun owners on the rising murder rates, carjacking, and attacks against law enforcement. But the explosion of crime in blue cities is actually tied to depolicing measures, hiring progressive prosecutors, and enacting disastrous bail reform policies. Lawful gun owners are not to blame for this rise in crime. And in the midst of a crime spike, a number of Biden appointees and judicial nominees, strongly backed by the Attorney General Garland, have supported radical ideas in the past like defunding the police, or at least reducing funding for police. And some have even advocated not prosecuting certain crimes. So, how do you expect to effectively fight crime with a lineup that I just gave you? Instead of tackling the opioid crisis, the Garland Justice Department wants to make it easier for fentanyl traffickers to spread their poison. Fentanyl analogs are responsible for most overdose deaths and are lethal in very tiny amounts, as we all know. But the Garland and Biden administration support eliminating mandatory minimum for these fentanyl analog dealers. Really? In addition, Garland has wielded his power to undermine the rule of law and came to political pressure. The Attorney General has summarily reversed a number of decisions issued by Attorneys General Sessions and Barr that helped enhance the integrity of our asylum system. This Attorney General has also issued memos, interpretations, and filings to the Supreme Court that contrast with previous Department of Justice decisions. Let me give you an example. Is the Department of Justice reinterpreted the law to make sure that inmates released to home confinement under COVID relief stay there. His Solicitor General also switched positions on a cocaine sentencing case that was before the Supreme Court. Now it happens that both of these policy outcomes align with my positions. I agree with those outcomes, but his way of getting there is political. Rule of law must be consistent and not political. So, Garland's flip-flopping also jeopardizes our nation's security. Instead of protecting the American people from the Chinese Communist Party's espionage, he disbanded the previous administration's successful China initiatives. This program prioritized investigations of national security from China, which is still a very serious threat, given that the FBI opens a new Chinese espionage case every 12 hours. So I don't know why this would be disbanded. This move is concerning and dangerous to our national security and reflective of partisan pressures trumping smart law enforcement. Also, political decisions are getting in the way of the application, consistent application of the rules of law. For example, Attorney General Garland's Department of Justice is politically selective about which cases to pursue and which cases to dismiss. Despite the 100-night siege against the Portland Courthouse in 2020 and 96 people being charged as violent rioters, almost half of those charged have been dismissed. Compare this to the Department of Justice's own statement on the one-year anniversary of January 6th. Quote, the Department of Justice's resolve to hold accountable those who committed crimes on January the 6th, 2021 has not and will not wane, end of quote. Now we all know that those who break law should be held accountable. No question about that. And as our nation's top law enforcement officer, it's incumbent upon him to enforce the rule of law. He cannot pick and choose when the rule of law is politically convenient or easy. Under Garland's leadership, the Department of Justice is also undermining valuable civil rights. This is something that he and I have had a lot of discussions on as he's appeared before our committee. So, undermining valuable civil rights. So instead of prioritizing that, Attorney General Garland has chilled the speech of American parents. He sent a memo to the FBI and the U.S. attorneys around the country to be on the lookout for upset parents at school boards. He did this after the National School Boards Association suggested that some people should be branded domestic terrorists. Imagine that charge. If you go to a school board meeting, you might be a domestic terrorist. What's even worse,
the big lie was the
there
truth.
seems to be some evidence
The big liars was the fact
that the
checkers.
Secretary of Education may have asked the National School Board Association to write that awful letter, which the association later had to apologize for. Garland says his memo is just about violence and threats of violence. But sure enough, whistleblower reports show that the FBI's counterterrorism division was looking way beyond only violence and threats. Parents' ability to voice their concerns, especially now, is a precious right, and the Department of Justice's actions cannot chill such vital speech constitutionally protected by the First Amendment. Also, instead of being responsive, the Attorney General has been evasive. Last year,
We the stupid
I
sheep.
sent approximately
Same old
50 letters
bullshit.
to the
We are the
department.
guinea pigs to the
That's
elite.
1/3
Allow them to
of
use the
all
same old
letters that they
bullshit.
received
Saying they're
from
gonna do
members of the United
something
States Senate.
and never do nothing.
The Attorney General wanted me to know that I sent 1/3 of all the letters he got from the other 99 senators. So when the Attorney General told me that, I don't think he meant it as a compliment. I received some letters in response. However,
Saying they're
when
gonna.
I'm told that they've responded to me, simple or lots of words on a piece of paper don't in and of themselves make a letter
Literally, the
responsive.
Democrat rats
Furthermore,
and the
the
Republican clowns
department has failed to provide
been robbing the
responsive
taxpayers of the
records,
United States of America's
with
corporations
the
for
exception
decades.
of one or two
You
small
cannot trust none of
productions.
these people. They're nothing but
By the way,
legal
of
lying
example,
lawyers.
I
They lie
received
for a
a
living.
30-page
We don't need no
production
lawyers running our
of records
business.
from the department.
All lawyers do
It
is run their
included
fucking mouth.
improper FOIA redactions and failed
They
to
don't know nothing
include
about running no
the
business
necessary spreadsheets.
because all they do is lie.
Accordingly,
It's time to get rid of these liars
production
and start having
is a failed production.
either a real businessman or a real businesswoman, but we need
FOIA does
business
not apply to
savvy
documents
people
going to
running
Congress
the
of
United States of
States.
America
So
Corporation.
you shouldn't
Not
have
no
that
legal
redaction.
lying lawyers, the fucking
Also, I
criminals,
repeatedly asked Nick if Nicholas McQuaid was
lying lawyers,
recused from the Hunter Biden criminal investigation.
who most of the time become
And
judges.
that's an important
These are the
thing
fucking
because he
criminals.
seemed to work
These
in
are the
law
ones that
firm
need to be
that was
investigated. The
representing
legal
Hunter
lying
Biden.
lawyers and some of the fucking judges.
And it
It's
ought to
time
be
to
a
start
simple
holding
question
liars
to answer.
accountable for being just
But
that,
Attorney
a
General
bunch of
Garland
fucking liars.
refuses to tell me whether McQuaid has recused from those cases. At the Judiciary Committee's October 27th, 2021 Justice Department oversight hearing, I said to Attorney General Garland, quote, "When I placed holds on your nominees for the department's failure to comply with Republican oversight requests, I said either you run the department or the department runs you. Right now, it looks like the Justice Department is running you." End of my quote of October 27th last year. So, that statement still holds true. Instead of protecting the American people, the Attorney General is sacrificing our nation's top law enforcement agency to politics during a violent crime spike. Instead of being stewards of our nation's laws, the Attorney General's leading the charge of bending the rule of law. And instead of fighting for civil rights, he's chipping away at those civil rights. Attorney General Garland, there is still time to change. You have 3
They
years
confuse
left
you with some make-believe
in this
bullshit.
administration.
None of the shit makes sense.
I urge you to change course. I urge you to bring the Justice Department back to a place of leadership. Leadership in reducing violent crime. Leadership in maintaining the rule of law. And leadership in protecting our civil liberties. I yield the floor.
When your ties takes a toll on your lips, that's a job. O'Keefe's Lip Repair, guaranteed relief of extremely dry, cracked lips.
From the original Arabs, from Qahtani. They settled and then
With
Ismail learned
the
Arabic language from them, and he learned the custom from them, and he became like one of them. And his descendants, that's why he's considered
Yesterday, Senator Johnson and I discussed a joint investigation into the Biden family's foreign financial entanglements. We reviewed much of our earlier work and provided a brief preview of the new material. Today, we will give our second speech on our Biden investigation series.
Literally, it's a program.
Once again, we're going to make public and we're going to describe new financial
Make believe, understand, faith,
related
hope.
to Hunter Biden and his connections to the communist Chinese government. Most of that focus will be on his connections to the CEFC, a company that's effectively an arm of the Chinese government. But first, we must go
Just
back
5 words keep so many slaves.
2015. At that time, Hunter Biden served on the board of Burisma and was paid tens of thousands of dollars each month. This owner is a corrupt, Russian-aligned Ukrainian oligarch. But that's not all that Hunter Biden was up to. In that year, CEFC International announced an agreement with Northern International
Literally, willing participants in their own slavery. Because they're lazy, not thinking for themselves.
And it's very much involved in the energy sector. One of Yi Jinping's companies was a majority shareholder of CEFC International. Northern International purchased $123 million worth of CEFC shares.
Not thinking for yourself, you're lazy.
The two companies together. We must also mention Hudson West 3 and its financial connection to CEFC. Hunter Biden was an investor and a manager of Hudson West 3. He was tasked with advancing its interests. Hudson West 3 also involved Chinese nationals connected to the communist regime, such as Dong Wen-dong, whom I talked about yesterday. Now let's look at this first poster. And I should note that Senator Johnson and I will make these documents public in full. We're providing snapshots for our presentation here on the floor of the United States Senate. Here we have one portion of an LLC agreement from a bank. It shows the companies that have bound themselves together. Hudson West 5, Hudson West 3, and Owasco. Owasco is Hunter Biden's firm. Now let's turn to the second poster. The paragraph at the top shows the purpose for which the LLC agreement exists. So what this tells us is that Hunter Biden and James Biden linked up with companies connected to the communist regime to assist them with finding projects for global and domestic infrastructure energy. And as we know from my and Senator Johnson's report from last August, some energy projects, explorations between the Biden family and China were here in the United States. One example is a multi-million-dollar natural gas project in Louisiana. Now let's move to the next paragraph at the bottom of this same poster, which defines the word affiliate in the agreement. And I want to quote, "For the avoidance of doubt, CFC China Energy Company Limited or any of its affiliates shall be deemed as an affiliate of Hudson," end of quote. Accordingly, this agreement between Hunter Biden's firm and Hudson West 3 and Hudson West 5 directly connect to Hunter Biden to CEFC. So, was this agreement executed? Let's look at this third poster, which contains a signature block executing the agreement. Here we see Hunter Biden's signature with Dong Wen Dong. As previously noted, Dong Wen was an associate of Yi Jinping. Both men were connected to the communist regime, including its military elements. Notably, Hunter Biden worked for Yi Jinping to get him involved in a natural gas project in Louisiana. That project eventually fell through. Now let's bring up a fourth poster labeled Joinder Agreement relating to the LLC agreement. Again, Hunter Biden is signing with Dong Wen Dong with respect to the LLC agreement. Now, accordingly, we can now conclude the following. Hunter Biden was financially connected to CEFC, a company that was an arm of the communist Chinese regime for the purpose of advancing energy interests. This agreement also shows two additional...
What the fuck do we pay the FBI for?
First, Hunter Biden's responsibility to advance Hudson West 3's interest as of August the 2nd, 2017. Second, Hunter Biden's close associate with Hudson West 3's CEFC and its affiliates as of August the 2nd, 2017. That date is important, as I will show you soon. Let's turn to the fifth poster. On this fifth poster, look at the top. This is a bank record showing an August 8, 2017 wire transfer from Northern International Capital to Hudson West 3 for $5 million. This is $5 million from a company that's connected to Yi Jinping and CEFC and its affiliates, which are essentially arms of the communist Chinese regime. And that transfer took place after Hunter Biden became closely associated with Hudson West 3 as the LLC agreement showed. So, what was the main point? As noted, agreement. It shows that Hunter Biden was paid $100,000 per month. James Biden was paid $65,000 per month. And Hunter Biden will be paid a one-time retainer, a fee of $500,000. Again, this is money connected to Hudson West Street, a company connected to CFC and Don Len Gun. Both are connected in turn to the communist Chinese regime. We can now conclude with this respect to James Biden. James Biden was financially connected to CFC, a company that was an arm of the communist Chinese regime for the purpose of advancing energy interests. After the LLC,
The creator within the creation. You're never alone.
From CFC and its shareholders into the bank account of Hudson West Street, including the $5 million from Northern International. This LLC agreement was the trigger point for high-dollar financial transactions involving Hunter and James Biden. Now let's turn to poster 6 and view the top. This is Hudson West 3 bank record that shows a wire transfer on August 31st, 2017 for $165,000. Notably, this is the same
The creator within a
as the
creation.
$5
You're never
million
alone.
wire from Northern International. It is also the same month that Hunter Biden signed the August 2nd, 2017 LLC agreement. The wire is to Wells Fargo Clearing Services. Now look at the bottom of this poster. Senator Johnson and I have acquired more than just the bank statement.
Excellent.
We've
In your
acquired
testimony, your written testimony, which was provided to us late last night,
So look at
it
the
says
fourth
that,
line at the
quote,
bottom.
this is your writing, no
It says,
government official ever
Further
threatened any
credit
social
to
media
Owasco,
platform with adverse
PC,
action
end quote.
if a platform
The underlying wire
declined to
data
moderate content
data shows
flagged by the
that it
official
went to
or if the
Owasco,
platform decided not to
a
take
Hunter
an
Biden.
official's
The hot
suggestions.
seat.
Do you stand by
You're
your
lying
testimony?
Senator Johnson
and you're
and
caught.
I have
Now, a few minutes
years
ago,
of
just
bank
prior, you
records
said that members
to
of the
show
legislative branch don't
multiple
qualify for this particular statement, despite the fact that you said no
$165,000 wire
government official ever
transfers
does a
from
representative
Hudson
in Congress
West 3
constitute a government
to
official.
Owasco.
Let me clarify.
There were also wire transfers for other amounts, some for more, some for less. More likely, some of those payments were for expenses under the LLC agreement.
Cards in your lie.
On August 6,
So that would then lead us to the natural
2017
inclination to believe that you're talking about the
agreement
executive branch,
with
right?
Lie.
West
And
Street
being
and
government
Owasco,
officials, so government officials like the Deputy Assistant to the President and Director of Digital Strategy like Robert Flattery, or the White House Senior Advisor like Andrew Slavin, or the NSA staffer Katie Colas, or the Deputy Assistant to the President, or the
and
White House Digital Director, or the Press Secretary for the First
to
Lady,
James.
Now you're caught in your lie.
NSC Director for Counterterrorism, the Chief of Staff for the Office of Digital
Lie.
Strategy, the Director of Strategic Communication Engagement, the White House Associate Counsel, Associate Director for Communications, the
From
Deputy
Northern
Director of Digital
International
Strategy, and the
Now
Strategic
caught
Director
in
of Digital
West Street.
Communications.
Your lie.
Those are government
After
officials.
that August 8th wire,
And what's so interesting
you
is that
see
all of
years
these
of
members of the
wire
executive
transfers
branch,
from
all of
Hudson
them
West
have
3 to
communications,
Hunter
thousands of
Biden's
emails
company.
between them and
The
Twitter and
majority
Meta
of
officials
these
where they demand
for
that those be taken down and censored. I'll give you a
$165,000,
couple of
the exact
examples,
amount
and then we'll see if you still
under
feel
the
so strongly
LLC
about your
agreement.
words. January
based on the timing of the transactions. Hunter Biden and James Biden's payments under the LLC agreement came from that $5 million wire. A wire, mind you, that came from a company connected to Yi Jianming and CEFC, which is an arm of the Chinese government. 3 years of record show that Hunter Biden and James Biden were more connected to the communist regime's elements than had been previously known. These records place them at the center of Hudson West 3, Dongwin Dong, and CFC. This is a finding that Senator Johnson and I made public in our Biden report last month. The same report that you found members of the other political party in this body and the liberal press finding fault with, that somehow it was Russian disinformation. So I say this to the liberal media and our Democratic colleagues who tried to smear our work all these years and accuse us of peddling Russian disinformation. You've seen all of these documents that were presented. Are these official bank records Russian disinformation? To our Democratic colleagues and the liberal media, we deserve an answer. Because you made several efforts to smear our reputation as we were starting this investigation 2 or 3 years ago. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Johnson to discuss a name that I gave you yesterday, Patrick Ho, and related records to Patrick Ho that
so glad we have this on the record. Again, my apologies to you, sir, for what you've had to report here today, but with that, I yield back.
Thank you. The gentlelady's time's expired.
So let me give y'all a couple. You say that you are an expert in constitutional. So y'all could be just as mad as me, and we could be mad together. For example, I was very familiar with the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. I knew it like the back of my head.
today.
And then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I'm going to lift the verse first actually, in Genesis chapter 3.
Series.
I'm sorry, let me actually start with the backstory, just in case you don't know.
We will focus on James Biden,
But Adam and Eve are
the
in the garden,
president's brother.
and God comes to them and says, you can have all of these trees.
Wasn't the only
Out
Biden
of all
family
the ones,
member
you got plenty to pick
who
from.
had connections
Don't
to the
eat from
Chinese
this
communist regime. James Biden did as well.
Don't eat from this specific tree in the midst of the
I
garden.
think we need to mention the main
First
company
question.
once again.
How did all these instructions get to Adam and Eve?
Initials CEFC.
Just a question. I'm not going to answer. I just want you to ponder on it. Evidently, they knew exactly what God wanted, what He did want for them to do, and what He didn't want. How did He communicate? I'm just asking. But what was even more interesting is that after they disobeyed God, because of course you say don't,
Liars can't handle the
they're going to
truth.
do it. So that's how you know Adam and Eve was black. So Adam and Eve, being Negroes and rebelling, they ate of the tree that God told them not to eat of. And they disobeyed the direct instructions of God. And in Genesis chapter 3, verse 8, it says, then the man and his wife, Adam and Eve, heard the sound of the Lord God as He was walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Now, if you didn't have any preconceived notions, if your pastor, Sunday school teacher, mom and daddy didn't already program you, and you read those words, what would you think? You don't have to put yourself on a witness stand, but just take any type of preconceived notions out of the equation and tell me what would you perceive from that verse. I mean, this God was making noise. For one, how can a spirit make noise? He was walking around. How can he walk around unless he had legs and feet? And after they realized that he was close, They went and hid themselves from God. How would you hide yourself from a spirit? If you're hiding yourself, that means that somebody is coming. They have eyes to see, ears to hear, hands and fingers to feel, and they're looking at you. So if Genesis 3:8 said that they heard the footsteps of the Lord approaching in the garden, and they hid themselves from God, how did we make God anything other than something physical? Anything other than a human being? Are y'all following me? Another one. Just in case y'all thought that was it, and I was just caught up on that one scripture. We got about 30 if you got time. We're not going to teach all of it. But just another one. As DJ Khaled says, another one.
The book bullshit is
in the book of Genesis, a little bit further down, in the 18th chapter, there was a story of Abraham in the plains of Mamre. And Abraham was relaxing in front of his tent. He chilling. Probably got some Kool-Aid sitting on the porch. You know how we do. And listen to what it says next. The chapter starts by saying the Lord appeared to Abraham. So when you say appear, I'm not sold yet. It could be a vision. It could be a dream. It could be a daydream, an hallucination. I don't know what it is, but you just said appear. But then look at what it says in Genesis 18 in the next two verses, 2 and 3. It says Abraham looked up. He looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. We got to take it slow so you can see how obvious this is. He said, I saw 3 men. Does it say 3 ghosts, 3 spirit, or 3 anything else? 3 men standing nearby. It then says, when he saw them, he hurried from the entrance to the tent. He met them and bowed to the ground. He said, if I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. So he sees 3 men, prostrates before them, has a conversation with them, but somehow you're going to make our open enemy right. You're still going to make the Lord an invisible, immaterial thing. Even though Abraham, the father of all monotheistic religion, is having a clear conversation with somebody. Then later in that same story, Abraham then tells the 3 men, come inside. Hang out with me. He calls his baby mom, not baby mom, he calls his girl, his wife, Sarah,
the FBI
and he says, Sarah, can you cook something for God?
I feel sorry for all the
I want you to stay a while, God. Relax your feet before you go on your journey. How is all this happening? Why is his wife cooking a meal?
Suffer for the bad FBI
for Casper the Friendly Ghost.
But it gotta happen.
If she's cooking for him,
we don't need the FBI.
God is walking. God is talking. He's flanked by 2 FOI. I'm sorry. He got 2 brothers with him. How can we make God to be anything other than what he really is, which is a human being? If God can sit down, he has a tush. If he can eat of Sarah's food, bean soup and farina bread, if he can eat that, that means he has a digestive tract. If Abraham told him to rest his feet, that means that he has feet to walk on. How are we bypassing all of these things when it's really as simple and as clear as day as it can possibly be? And this is what aggravates me. I'm sitting in my home reading such simple language, and I was thoroughly confused as to how I could believe something so obvious to be other than what it really is.
And it's also my constitutional responsibility to do exactly that. Now, we have more records to discuss today. Today, Senator Johnson and I will show you financial transfers direct from Hudson West Street to the Lion Hall Group. In other words, in these transfers, Hunter Biden's Owasco isn't the middleman.
And she's telling you that she has advice from counseling. So therefore, the legal lawyer had another liar to tell her some more lies because they make up the lies alone.
Now, there's a lot going on here.
As they go along, we are the stupid ones listening to this bullshit that don't make no fucking sense. These are some fucking criminals who should be in fucking prison. because of all the bullshit.
$165,000.
Are we really this fucking gullible to the elite assholes and their 5-word program?
Which Senator Johnson and I will make public this very day, shows that money went to Hunter.
All these assholes do is lie to me and you, and we just keep going along to get along.
For the August 2017
with bullshit that don't make
LLC
no
agreement.
sense. When are we gonna use common sense for a change? Because right now, common sense is just not common.
Of Hudson West 3. That agreement sent $100,000 to Hunter Biden and $65,000 to James Biden every month. Those transactions occurred after the $5 million wire from Northern International Capital to Hudson West 3 on August 2017. Northern International was connected to Yi Jianming, who was connected to the communist regime. Now, we explained all that in our second speech just last Tuesday. Second, this statement shows several examples of wires from Hudson West 3 to CEFC. As Senator Johnson and I have established, that company is an arm of the communist Chinese regime. This new record shows how closely connected Hudson West 3 was with CEFC, while Hunter Biden and James Biden received money from Hudson West 3. Third, we've got a January 17, 2018 wire to Lion Hall Group. Now that happens to be James Biden's company. James Biden received $18,000 from Hudson West 3. The same month, that company sent money to CEFC. Now this is just one example of many. Accordingly, the official bank record makes clear the financial connection between and among James Biden and the communist Chinese elements.
I'm a citizen.
To the liberal media and my Democratic colleagues, is this the official bank record?
Relatively small donations.
Is that Russian disinformation, as you accused us of spreading? Now let's go to the second poster.
But not to one person. Most
This is Hudson West 3 bank record from April 2018. Here, you see wire transfer from Cole Harbor Capital. That company was connected to Herman Yang, who was an associate of Yi Jianming and Gong Wen. Now, as Senator Johnson and I have already established, all of them are connected to the communist regime. These are the players in the game that I mentioned in the first speech last Monday. And now we've established they appear repeatedly in bank records with high-dollar transfers. These transfers aren't by accident. No way. There's clearly a scheme here. There's a plan among and between all these individuals and their respective companies.
Senator, may I address that, please?
Which then begs
When you
the
say
question,
actively, I
has the
give
Justice
every
Department
single
acquired
organization
these
who I
records?
work on net
If
neutrality,
so,
$100
what has the Justice
contribution.
Department
Does it mean I
done
agree with their
about
tactics?
these records? Now moving to the next section,
Why would you give?
there's another $165,000 wire
Why would you give a quarter if you're not going with the reviews?
to the LLC agreement that connected Hunter and James Biden to the Chinese firm CEFC. And and its projects in the energy sector. Then you have a $34,000 wire to James Biden's Lion Hall Group from Hudson West Street.
You sent this tweet.
So what
Just
was
made
this
my end of
all
year
about?
donation to this organization,
Let's take a
urging
look
others to
then
do
at the
it
third
after they
poster.
did that. And because the time is limited, I'll note
Now look
this
at
group
the
also
sixth
blasted
line
Marsha Blackburn,
from the
Dan
bottom.
Sullivan, and
I
astonishing
want to
Roger
quote.
Wicker, and
It says
astonishingly
office
called for
expense
Chairwoman
and
Cantwell
reimbursement.
to be fired. And
That's
after each of
the
those to be
same
removed
reason
from as chairwoman of
given
this
for the
committee, after
first
each
poster
of
that I showed
those,
you. We'll
you
make all of these
supported it.
records public
And
again
in fact,
this
I want
very
to
day.
turn
For those
the
of you
final
who
point
may still doubt my
Roger Wicker
and
one,
Senator Johnson's oversight
where
work,
this group
I'm going
protested
to
and said,
present one last
you're buying
transaction
a senator.
to
You said
bring
you don't
all
support
of
their
this home.
tactics. I'm going to point out,
So look at the
you
fourth
tweeted,
poster.
well done, to this radical group who blasted the former ranking member of
In
this
my
committee
and
and saying
Senator
that his
Johnson's
donors were trying
September
to buy a
2020
senator.
report,
If they were trying to buy a senator,
found
were you
that
trying to buy
James
senators
Biden
when you made a dozen
and Hunter
contributions?
Biden
Senator, I did not
went on
know,
a
number one, that was
$99,000
about Senator Wicker.
global
Number two,
spending
I was
spree
criticizing
courtesy of a
Senator.
group,
Roger Wicker, right
another
there.
Yeah, well,
Chinese
literally what
person
you
that I've
retweeted was
mentioned
his name.
so
That's
many
fine,
times
but I
in
was
these
actually
three speeches,
criticizing the
Dong,
donors and not
Win,
criticizing
Dong.
Senator Markey.
The spending spree included airline tickets, purchases at Apple stores, hotels, and restaurants. This bank
Men
record
45 to
next
55
to
years
me
old,
shows
especially for you.
a
Get a free 10-house. You don't have to pay anything.
transaction
All you have to do
in
is fill out the
September
form and we'll deliver the gift
2013
right to your door. Just
or
fill out the form
2017.
and we'll send it to you for free. No payments,
But that's
no
not
spam,
all
and no
that we
strings
have.
attached. Men
Let's turn to the
45 to
final
55
poster.
years old, especially for
number
you.
5.
Get a free 10-house. You don't have to pay anything.
This is a
All you have to
credit
do
card
is fill out the form and we'll
authorization
deliver the
form
gift right
for
to your door. Just fill out the
$99,000.
form and we'll send it to
When
you.
are they gonna stop these scams from being ran?
There's the
And no
signature
strings
box
attached. Men
with
45
Hunter
to 55
Biden
years
and
old,
Gong
especially
Ran.
Gong.
get a free 10-house. You don't have to pay
Now,
anything.
to the
All you
liberal
have to
Ran
do
down
is
the
fill
street.
out the form
And my
and we'll deliver the
Democratic
gift
colleagues
right to your door. Just fill
are
out the
these
form and we'll send
official
it to you for
records
free. No payments,
Russian
no spam, and no
disinformation.
strings attached. Men
So what's the
45 to
point of all
55
these
years
records?
old, especially for
Not
you.
only
Get a
have
free
Senator
10-house.
Johnson and I
You don't have to
Scams.
pay anything. All
new
you have to do
records
is
that
fill
Hunter
out the
Biden
form
was
and we'll deliver
financially
the gift
Scams.
right to your door. Just fill out the
Communist
form
regime.
and we'll send it to you
These
for free.
records
No
show
payments, no
Jim
spam, and no
James
strings attached.
Biden was as well.
Men 45 to
These
55
new
years
records
old.
show direct financial links between companies connected to the communist regime and James Biden through Lion Hall Group. These new records support the findings in our report to the last Congress. Remember, those reports were put out in September and November of 2020. And everybody was saying it was Russian disinformation. Forget the facts. Forget the evidence. Forget the investigative journalism. The liberal media wanted to provide cover for then candidate Joe Biden. They did whatever they could to smear all
Just
investigation.
make funny about us being
Under
robbed.
these new
Senator
records,
is
there can be no doubt
mentioned the decision around
that James Biden was financially connected to the
Only people with money will see it being
individuals with
funny,
extensive
knowing
wealth,
that we, the taxpayers, are the ones being robbed by these fucking
and that
criminals.
he and Hunter Biden
I don't see shit funny about
were
this
in it
bullshit.
together. working
I just
to
see that
help
we
a
some
Chinese
stupid fucking sheep.
government-linked energy company
Guinea pigs
pursue
to the
deals
elite.
and
And you
expand
can't
its
say we're
reach
not.
in the energy
These sons of
sector.
bitches used a fucking experimental drug on us
It's
to
Senator
come to find out
Johnson's
that it was a biological weapon. To come to find out it was a biological weapon. How gullible is that? So many gullible, willing participants in their own slavery. Lazy, retarded, non-thinking sheep, guinea pigs.
How is the wedding planning coming along?
I want both of them married by the time I turn 50.
Dumbass
So I can
believers.
have that blow up 50th birthday. What?
Wow.
You have developed a fear in the
I'm so
kids.
disappointed in you, brown men and women, women and men.
I still cocooned. That's their opinion. My opinion is...
Born a winner, 100%. Truthfully, morally, and naturally, you're supposed to know better in order to do better.
May the 9th of this year,
Wow.
Senator
How well we was
Johnson
programmed
and I
by
wrote
just
to
5
David
words.
Weiss,
Now I'm talking
the
to all
U.S.
men and
Attorney for
women,
the District
women
of
and men,
Delaware,
who's supposed to know who they are, 100%. Do you see how easily it is to be twisted by some
In that
bullshit?
letter, we asked Mr. Weiss a series of
Literally, some elite
questions
assholes,
that Attorney
make-believe bullshit.
Garland has repeatedly failed
Literally,
to answer.
make-believe,
First, we
understand,
asked whether
fake,
Nicholas
hope.
McQuaid is recused
Just 5 words.
from the Hunter Biden case. As we have said publicly many times, McQuaid is
Literally,
conflicted
make-believe,
because he worked with Hunter
understand,
Biden's
fake,
criminal
hope.
attorney before he was
Just
hired
5 words
as
keep
a
so
top
many
position in
stuck on
President
stupid.
Biden's Justice Department.
In make-believe la la
Second,
land.
we asked Mr. Weiss whether he or any of his employees have had any communications with
In
McQuaid.
make-believe,
Third, we asked Mr. Weiss whether any of his employees, not just Mr. McQuaid, are recused from the Hunter Biden
Thank you,
case.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Abadi, let me just
We asked
stay with
these
you. You
questions
just started to answer
because the
Senator
Biden
Blackburn's
family is
question
from
that
Delaware
not
and has
releasing the
extensive
1023 are
political
talking about it as a matter
connections.
of life and death. Question of life and death, you said.
Hunter Biden
Explain.
told his business partner, quote,
Potentially a question of life and
I'll
death
bring
with
suit
regard to
in
the
the
source of the information.
Chancery Court in
So,
Delaware,
okay, so now we've
which,
confirmed
as
that
you
the
know,
document
is my
exists.
home
That's
state,
progress because the
and
FBI
I'm
director
privileged
initially
to
denied
work
that it
with
exists. Why
and
did you?
know every judge
have
in the
already
Chancery
previously acknowledged
Court.
the existence of the
End of
documents.
quote.
Yeah, after you first denied it.
Does the
Now,
Biden
when a member
family
of this
have
committee
connections
read
to
it,
anyone in
right, the FBI
Mr.
director, let's get the
Weiss's
record straight. The
office?
FBI director
That
initially
seems
said
to be a
it
very
doesn't
fair
exist.
question. With respect to those 3 questions,
once again,
Mr. Weiss
I feel sorry
didn't
for
even
all
try to
the rest of
answer.
the FBI
In
agents
fact,
that should
the
be
Attorney
fired
General
because
jumped
of
in
this.
and
But
answered
one
on
bad
behalf
apple can fuck
of
up all
U.S.
the apples,
Attorney
but no one
Weiss.
didn't say shit. So
The
now it's
call of
over
the
with.
Attorney General's
Fuck the
letters
FBI. We
and
do not
answer
need them. The
is an
FBI is a
overstatement.
rogue organization
It
that's ran
was
by a bunch of
another
fucking criminals.
non-answer.
I'm sorry.
Eventually just
The
words on a
FBI was
piece of
made
paper
up by someone
that
twisted.
didn't say anything
Now the FBI is
worthwhile.
too fucking twisted to be fixed.
So Senator Johnson and I also asked Mr. Weiss
Literally, morally,
if
and
he's
truthfully.
received sufficient resources
What really do we
support
need the FBI
from
for
the Justice
anyway?
Department to
Look at all the
properly
bullshit
handle
that's going
the
on.
Hunter
What is the
Biden
FBI really doing about it?
case.
They're not doing their
Again,
job.
no answers.
We got 300 fucking children
One
missing.
would think that the department, and specifically Mr. Weiss, would want to tell Congress and the American public
300,000 children
that the
missing.
answer to that question is
What is
yes.
the FBI doing?
The failure of Mr. Weiss to answer that very important question
And
adds
Senator
to
Grassley
the
said,
growing
I've read it.
concern
Then he
and
said,
public
oh, okay,
concern
well,
that the
gotcha.
Justice
I guess it
Department
does exist.
is pulling the
Now you're going
punches
back and forth
on the
with members of
Hunter
this committee. What's in it? Why don't you
Biden
just
case.
release it? Is it
We
classified?
also asked Mr. Weiss whether he's discussed
Will you commit to
the
release it?
need for a special
Sir,
counsel
we'll take that back.
or an independent
You and this
counsel
committee.
to properly
How about just a
investigate
yes or
the
no? Will you
Hunter
commit to
Biden
releasing
case.
this unclassified document that alleges that the President of the United States, the President of the United States, has taken $5 million or more in bribes from a foreign nation?
Because
The document has already been released pursuant to a subpoena to the House Oversight Committee.
Has it been released to this
We will
committee?
work with this committee within the parameters that are established to meet
Will you
the
release the
request.
document to the public? It's unclassified. Don't you think the American people have a right to see it?
Senator, the document, as you know, contains sensitive information that has bearing on the life of the source of the information, potentially.
You can redact the source's name. We do this all the time.
In some instances, Senator, and I know you know this, that is not sufficient to protect people. And that's what we strive and work to do each and every day, and I hope you would take that seriously too.
Oh, I take it very seriously. But I also take seriously the fact that your institution has repeatedly abused its authority, has repeatedly targeted political opponents. Your institution is the one that went to the door of pro-life protesters with SWAT teams to try and intimidate people because of their speech. Your institution is the one that treated parents as domestic terrorists because of their speech. Your institution is the one that, according to the court, the FISA court, ran 278,000 unwarranted, probably illegal queries on Americans, right? That was your institution, correct?
With respect to the compliance incidents, yes, some of the other things you cited, we can take them one by one. They are not.
Compliance, you would characterize the unlawful querying 278,000 times of American citizens as compliance issues?
We've said before, I've said that it's totally unacceptable.
Who's been fired for it?
Individuals involved are handled through the disciplinary process.
Who's been fired for it?
We have, in
That's how
the
you find
case
out
of
that it's all done on
the
purpose when nobody gets
unintentional
fired.
instance where something similar happened, we have fired people in the past.
Similar
Wait, I'm sorry,
not what
what does that word salad mean? The unintentional instance where what does that mean? Who's been fired for the 278,000 times that you improperly or illegally queried the database for American citizens?
When we find intentional incidents.
Were you saying that the 278,000 queries were unintentional?
I believe that's correct.
Wow, 278,000 times American citizens' information was queried by your agency unintentionally? That's your testimony?
I would want to go back and check that, Senator. But
well, that's what you just told me.
My understanding is that the vast majority...
Wait, that's different. You just said it was. You just said it was unintentional. Now it's the vast majority. Which is it? Do you know?
I would want to go back and check it.
So you don't know?
My understanding is that likely all were unintentional.
Likely all. So first it was all of them, then it was vast majority. Now it's likely all. So you don't know is the answer to the question.
I don't know the answer as we sit here today, but I will find out.
Started with that probably. Who was fired for the lies to the FISA court for the Carter Page warrant? Who was fired for that? Anybody? Has anybody been held accountable for your institution deliberately lying to a FISA court to get a wiretap on an ongoing presidential campaign?
There is an ongoing disciplinary process with respect to individuals involved in that.
Here's the deal. You're back in front of us asking for the reauthorization of extraordinary authorities. Multiple courts have uncovered extraordinary abuses perpetrated by your agency. You are at the same time concealing information about serious allegations made against the President of the United States, even as your institution also targets his chief political opponent in an unprecedented way. Why would we ever give you the blank check that you want to continue surveilling American citizens in an improper manner? Why would we ever do that?
Senator, we're here to talk about reforms today. I did get confirmation that the query...
No, we're not. We're here to talk about the reauthorization of Section 702. Why would we reauthorize it, given your track record of abuse and illegal improper surveillance and political targeting? Why would we do that? Why would it be appropriate for this body to do that?
We've made significant reforms and implemented corrective measures.
But nobody got fired.
In progress as a result of that, Senator. The queries that you mentioned earlier were in fact unintentional. That's what I was just told by my counterpart.
That is an amazing
earlier question.
So your testimony is the 280,000 queries of American citizens was unintentional. That's your final answer?
That's how they were assessed by that team that did the review. I'm not satisfied with that. That's why we implemented further measures, as I announced earlier today.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. And frankly, we've heard from your agency 1,000 times that you're going to do better, will do better. You promised after the abuses of Title I you'd do better, and then we find out that in the meantime you're illegally querying 280,000 American citizens' data. It's unbelievable, frankly. Everything you say is unbelievable.
I strongly urge you to clear the cloud sooner rather than later.
He may have before we proceed with votes.
We have agreed on a voice vote for Ms. Desai, and I'm going to not